to the weekend edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Our subject tonight is strikes, because it seems strikes, it's a season of strikes. Strikes ni kama ziko fashion. See, lecturers have issued a 1-week strike notice. Nairobi County workers have also issued a 1-week strike notice. As for the Kanjo strike, though, at least that comes with goodies, like free parking. But it's always fun until they start doing this.
Thousands of angry employees from the City Council of Nairobi literally littering the very city.
Ukishaona hii, hauwezi hata enda kwa bar uambie mtu wa Kanjo achafue meza. You cannot do that. See, Kayole and Umoja Matatus have also tried this style of striking before. Striking by doing the opposite of what is expected of them. I know you can't even believe those are Matatus. No one is overlapping. The speed is safe. So basically, a Matatu strike simply means following traffic rules. Yes, this is how they behave on strike, is actually how they should behave on a normal day. Now, the basic definition of a strike, according to the English dictionary, is the refusal to work organized by a body of employees as a form of protest, typically in an attempt to gain concessions from their employees. It's more like blackmail, but this is legal. The bad news is that if the government is your employer, before conceding, they will have tried all the tricks in the book, including this.
The Kenya Airports Authority workers say they have been silent for far too long, choosing today to air their grievances, except that today is a day when thousands of Kenyans had planned to travel out of town. Where before Airports Authority workers had worked, police officers now stood.
Using the police to hold office for the striking Kenya Airports Authority employees may have worked, but that will never work with the doctors. Never. You will show up at the hospital for treatment, but the only treatment our officers can give is treat you as a suspect. Gichana file ya malaria inasema caused by a mosquito bite. So in case you assault. Now, you are the complainant. Now, for you to get justice, we need the defendant. Wapi hiyo mosquito ilikuuma? Atuliwa. You have killed the defendant. You do realize that this is obstructing the cause of justice. Gichana lazima utalala ndani. You end up being admitted in a police cell. Yes, that's one of the methods the government uses on striking workers. Threat to be replaced or to be arrested.
Doctors' union have 2 weeks to resolve and call off their strike, or their union leaders will land in jail.
You have a sentence hanging on your head for 2 weeks. If the strike is still on, you'll be arrested wherever you are.
Just to be clear, the sentence hanging on our heads as doctors is 40% take it or leave it. The doctors want a 300% raise. But this is the best the government says it can do. But on a serious note, even the Ogava wongeza watu mshahara. Serious. And then there's a 2-week window to negotiate, or else doctors will go to jail. I find this unfair, because what if the other party decides to sabotage the talks just to see us going to jail? I know the police cells offer very fertile grounds for negotiations. It worked for the Pangani 6. Peace was achieved after a 4-day incubation period in the police cells. It worked because both the MPs from the Jubilee and oppositions were locked in together. So kama ni kuenda jela, tunaenda sisi wote. Sisi na serikali tupelekwe ndani pamoja. And fellow doctors, kama tunaenda Pangani, mimi ndio nalala karibu na dirisha. Now, the arrest threat is, however, just an afterthought. The negotiations have been there.
Top officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors for the 3rd day reconvened at the Labour Ministry headquarters in Nairobi. However, after a 6-hour-long meeting under the auspices of Labour Cabinet Secretary Phyllis Kandie, no deal was signed by both parties.
Yes. If you were very keen, you must have noticed why the parties would sit in a meeting for hours on end and still walk out without a deal. Check this out.
However, after a 6-hour-long meeting under the auspices of Labour Cabinet Secretary Phyllis Kandie, no deal was signed by both parties.
Yes, silence, meeting in progress. So to mean that the whole time they were not talking to each other. See, and arresting the doctors is not as easy as it sounds.
Mgomo katika nchi ya Kenya ni halali na huwezi kumpeleka mtu kotini kwa ajili ya mgomo ama kumshika kiongozi yeyote wa wafanyikazi kama amegoma. Hii inatambuliwa na vyama vya kimataifa ILO, na pia katika sheria zetu mpya za wafanyikazi wamepatiwa nafasi ya mgomo, na waziri amenyang'anywa uwezo wa kusema ya kwamba huo mgomo si halali.
Yes, I knew workers have a right to strike. What I did not know is that this is where Bazokizo came from. That's besides the point though. Yes, we have a right to strike, but do we strike right? Almost every profession in Kenya strikes well. Of course, except Harambee Stars. Now, the subject of strikes is also very wide. It goes beyond teachers and doctors. Other countries even have other forms of strikes that you'd never even imagine exist. At the hunger strike. Unakataa kukula ndio ongezwe mshahara. You'd never achieve anything with that in Kenya. They will call it fasting. Yes, we have it, yes. But we have it in reverse. We don't do hunger strikes. Hunger strikes us. It's also important to note that the most successful strikes have been by unionized workers. And that explains why this particular group of Kenyans is still struggling to get recognition.
Kitu fani hivi, umeshtua mtu hivi ameshtuka, umeenda umejificha bado unamwangalia, tena umemshtua. Sasa unajazika ni vile anashtuka. Sasa unafurahi tu.
I was just from one home going to the other. Then accidentally I met a huge bush on the way, and the bush was just moving. Nikapiga mayowe and the bush disappeared. And the following day, Jack Zongo came to me and assured me that was me who scared you terribly.
In Homa Bay County, we are almost 22,000 there and above. These are our activities. It is in the Kenyan law, but we are falling under sports, art, sports, and culture. So we are requesting our Minister for Sports, Arts and Culture, Dr. Hassan Wario, to take this opportunity for recognition.
That mzee, I think he's about 60 years old. Na ujaritaya bado unafanya vitu kama hizo. And Jack Zungu, how do you come claim credit for doing kitu kama hiyo? Ni kama unapigwa ngeta alafu jamaa anakwambia bana jana nilikupata fiti buda. Who does that? Who does that? Someone please register these guys alafu tuwanyanyase so that they can go on strike, watu walale na amani. Now, the public has in most occasions been in support of workers when they go on strike. The only people who are always on their own when it comes to demanding higher pay are the MPs. Last time they tried that, Boniface Mwangi was on the spot for calling them MPs.
What's your take on those who say you should have left the pigs out of it?
The pig was the closest animal you could use to communicate the message.
Well, let me first say that they had their constitutional rights to demonstrate, but in exercising our constitutional rights, we must not infringe on the welfare of others. The pigs indeed were brought into the picture. As you know, animals are sentient beings. They have feelings. They grieve. They feel pain, and they indeed feel harassed, depressed, and stressed.
For a moment, I thought this guy was defending our MPs. Kumbe anatetea nguruwe. See, this is sort of a very interesting argument. See, Boniface Mwangi clarified that they did not hurt the pigs. If you are a pig and you've been given an option to be taken for an outing at the Kenyan Parliament or to be slaughtered, which one will hurt your feelings more? That's not a hard decision if you ask me. However, no, this is one of the most symbolic strikes against the government. Again, that's besides the point. Animal rights is a subject for another day. Today, it strikes. The number one platform where workers will keep time, both in terms of deadline and timing.
We wish to inform all airline stakeholders that CALPA members will from 5 a.m. local time on Tuesday the 18th of October 2016 down their tools until a comprehensive change of guard at Kenya Airways is effected.
5 a.m. really? Unaamka 5 ku strike? How do you even set an alarm for that? Masaa imefika. Who does that? Now, the ethical thing about strikes is that they warn you in advance. But that does not mean that you take them for granted, especially the pilots. You don't want to mess with someone who keeps time. You may end up taking the threat for granted, and then this happens. Niliambiwa strike ni 5 nikakataa kusikia. 5 ikafika mkienda America. But then again, this is a plane, man. You don't live like a WhatsApp group. You don't do that. No, you don't do that. Now, one thing that stands out is that at the end of the strikes, people will go back to work, but with irreversible collateral damage. Like in the case of doctor strikes, patients pay, the government doesn't. The patients the government has taken to pay the doctors, patients have paid with their lives. We'll be right back after the break with an expert to help us break this down more. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Our subject tonight is strikes, and you can get in touch with us on our social media handles running below your screen right now. And we have an expert to help us break down this subject. We brought in Albert Njero, the Secretary General of KEHA. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, my brother. You are okay? Thank you. Hey.
Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, my brother, my sister.
Oh, Lord, I am. So, moving on swiftly. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And before we start, just to set the pace.
Yes.
Just to set the pace. We have something to show you about Mr. Albert here. Tunataka kusema watu. We are going to tell on someone. Kevo, please give us a clip of one of, a compilation actually, of his press conferences.
Come out to the police.
Salary, basically, that I can assure you.
But at the same time, we are prepared.
Alafu ukishinda hata wao wanaongezwa mshahara.
Anakwambia hiyo ndio swali.
Yes?
Hiyo ndio shida.
Yes.
Hata wao tukishida nao wanaongezwa mshahara. Na nawajua hapo. Ukiangalia hapo nyuma utawapata hapo.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa. I'll just go straight to the point. Hapa kwa kuongezwa mshahara.
Yes.
I know you represent a different union.
Correct.
Hapa kwa madaktari, what do you make of the doctor strike so far?
Doctor strike, as far as we are concerned, as workers, they have right to strike.
The government is offering 40%, doctors want 300%. So basically the union helps doctors play hard to get. Ni kama ile tu situation ya madem, mnajua what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Now, when is it the time to say yes? When is it the correct time to say yes? If you are
every time. Let me tell you, every time you can say yes. Okay. As long as your demands are met reasonably. Are you together now? The one is reasonably and your rights being met.
If I was doing simple mathematics,
yes,
the doctors have been offered 40%.
Correct.
Si wangekula hiyo alafu wa strike tena.
You are right, my brother.
Yes.
But remember, here comes a situation where the doctors are demanding a certain amount of money.
Yes.
And when they were given the 40%, so that particular say, go back and negotiate. I took it now. Remember, aliambia watu wa serikali, madaktari, rundi kwa negotiating table, munegotiate.
Okay.
Munegotiate.
How serious are your members? Because while doing a research for this show, you have only 176 likes on your Facebook page. What's happening with the members?
My brother, if you look at the There is, you realize the Facebook show, you realize if you go to Facebook of Kudeya, which is Unity, we have 49,000. Go back.
49,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Go back.
Now, you have negotiated the likes.
Yes.
Now,
always.
Talking about negotiations, how do you arrive at a CBA? Like, how do the doctors arrive at asking for a 300% raise?
Factors ya kuangalia negotiations are as follows. 1, the inflation rate.
Okay.
2,
bei ya nini specifically?
Unga, bei ya unga, bei ya petrol, bei ya mguu allowance.
Sasa domestic worker, for those who don't understand, is a fancy name for the house help. Yeye na petroli wanatoa na watu.
Unakumbuka kuna mafuta ya kujipaka inaitwa petroleum?
Nicely played. Who strikes for your salaries? Nyinyi sasa.
Sisi wa Secretary Generals. Oh yes, we have another.
Nyinyi mnajiongeza mshahara.
Kuna union nyingine yetu inaitwa Kenya Foreign Workers Union. Ndio wale ni wafanyakazi wale wanafanya kwa pale kwa my unions. Si mimi peke yangu.
Sasa strike yenu inaendaje, like there's like 20 of you in the
let me tell you one thing what is happens if we call a strike, most of the organizations will not also perform because there will be no leadership. And therefore they make sure that they take care of us as quickly as possible.
So you are basically in the business of arm twisting the government.
As long as we get our benefits, the much that is what, as long as the members benefit, that is the duty of the trade union.
When was Kudeya formed, for those who don't know? And the as in the what they usually stand for?
Kudeya, as it studio, was formed back in 1951. It was formed by house servants who are honorary men at Igara. And they were working for Wasungus. And they could see what was happening during emergency. That was the time of emergency, those who know the history. The men that particular time decided, the 7 of them decided, also we shall be having our kamukoji and our mugembe tree, mango tree.
Now so you have
during the night. Then from there, we can be getting information from the kitchen as we are cooking for the Wasungus. When they are meeting, we can be...
Oh, so it started as a snitching business.
Oh, yes. So that you can get the information. You know, union is about robbing.
Robbing?
Yes, for the members, the interests. It's not just waking up and saying this. Yeah. So as a result of that, that has been... So 1951, it was registered as a servant.
Okay.
1959, it changed to Domestic Workers Union.
Okay.
1962, the hotels, in terms of sector of the cooking department and the waiters, decided to join on them. 1963, the hospitals decided to join them. 1967, the education institutions joined them.
They are joining
by
peer pressure.
Not peer pressure. This is about a union, employees feeling they need to be protected and to get a service. And therefore, they were finding the union then, which was registered, was domestic workers.
There are employers, actually this would work against you. There are employers who are not keen on employing people who are members of a union.
Let me also clarify this, that you don't become a member of the union before also you are employed in some term.
The unions don't do jobless people.
Of course, we take care of the interests.
Their interests?
Yes.
They have no interest. They have no money.
You see, it is not about the issue of the money. It is the issue about the welfare of a worker. And the worker does not mean that he doesn't have money in the pocket. You can be working somewhere else, isn't it? Okay. In your farmers, in your parents' land, and they should pay you if you are over 16. I'm just giving an example.
Your parents should pay you if you're over 16 and you're working for them.
Yes, if you are working. Officially, you must get employment letter.
Please say that to my mama.
Oh, yes. Mom,
she owes me some money.
Maybe you are not able to put your kids in front of her?
Yes.
Or your parents?
She told me that I was eating in her house.
Oh, yes. That's one way of paying the salary.
No, we are talking about money. I don't have food in my pocket.
My brother.
Yes.
Work employees don't only talk about money. There are other terms and conditions which employees should enjoy. One of them is 1 leave day per every week.
So let me get this straight.
Yes.
If I ate at my mother's house,
yes,
and that was considered payment,
yes,
so I would have a collective bargain agreement that sasa after 4 years naongezwa kuku.
Aha. Differentiate between two things.
Yes.
When you are a worker and when you are working as a member of the family.
Okay.
If you decide to become a worker, then you know that very well you are entitled to full benefits of a worker.
Do Makangas fall under your, by any chance?
By the way, there is a union for Makangas.
Not yours, luckily.
No, not mine. It's Matato's workers.
But wao si mshahara, they strike for fares.
It depends on the angle. Kwanza inaanza mshahara. Mshahara wa matatu, remember most of them.
Makanga ni change tu anakatalia.
Nikwambie. Makanga tangu mishoke ya ingirie is entitled to the minimum of 500 shillings per day.
Thank you very much for coming on our show. Albert Njero, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. I am Dr. Kingori.